Hello and welcome back to the Big Arsenal Discussion. I'm your host Giles, and joining me today are regular Amanda from Good Girls Podcast. And we've got two special guests. First, we've got Andrew, PR_, who are you? And Pete from Le Grove. Right, good afternoon, guys. Let's start with the recent form. How have you assessed Arsenal in the last month or so? Andrew, let's start with you.
Well, I mean, you can't argue with the figures. It's been absolutely solid. Obviously, we won our last 6 Premier League games in a row, 18 points. I think we've scored 13 and conceded 4. And then if you look outside the league, in the last 10, we've won 9, I believe. The only game we've lost was Monaco. And obviously, going some of those games away, Crystal Palace away, for example, Newcastle away, they aren't necessarily the easiest places to go. If we look at the game against Newcastle last weekend, the second half especially was nail-biting stuff in those games, which former Arsenal sides might have lost. So I think it's a testament to the kind of the dynamite in that team, probably brought by someone like Coquelin. I think that in that holding midfield role, we've got a lot more stability in the midfield now, and I think that it's really starting to prove, and you can see that in the stats.
Amanda,
can't argue with that, can you? Really? I think definitely the Newcastle game, the second half, we all knew we'd have tired legs from the Monaco exploits. And Andrew's right, an Arsenal of old definitely would have conceded and probably lost. I think we had a little bit of luck on our side. I think the run is great. Apart from Monaco, we've won loads. I don't know the stats, not a stat person, me. But, really pleased, and they dug it out.
Yeah. Pete, what's been most impressive about the run of form in your eyes?
I think the run of form is impressive, and we've done well since our injured players came back. But I kind of disagree on the point that Arsenal teams of old would have lost those games. I kind of feel like every year we say that, and we go, like when we're looking for justification of why we're still not quite there. I think the games that we've won mostly, apart from the City game, have been expected. Like we usually beat the average teams. It's the bigger teams that we're struggling against.
Yeah, what about Newcastle, Liverpool away? We were 2-1 up with a minute to go. That's typical Arsenal, a couple of minutes to go. When Skirtle heads the ball and it's 2-0. That's what I mean. That's normally what happens to us. That's typical.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this is a sign of things to come. But we had a good run last year. Like, we seem to be very good at calendar year football. Yeah. And we almost have like 3 months on, 3 months off approach to it. And it's just like, that's a consistent problem that Arsene Wenger struggles with. I feel like the most impressive thing have been the players coming through. Like Andrew said, I think like Coquelin's been absolutely fantastic. I think Bellerin, I love him. I think he's I think he's turning into a really, really good player. And then Özil's coming into form. Like all the good players are coming into form at the right time. It's just like, let's see that start from September and go the whole way through, because at the end of the day, we're probably just going to be celebrating a top 4 finish as per. Like, the FA Cup would be great, but like, is there real progress in this side, or is this just typical Arsenal? The pressure's off. We're just grinding out the wins till the end of the season, and then we see the same old, same old.
You talk about the players that have come into form. It's just as well that people come in form, because someone like Alexis Sanchez has kind of gone off the boil recently, hasn't he? I don't know if it's because of the he's not used to not having a mid-season break, but it's great that we don't actually depend on one player anymore. There are a number of players within this unit, this core, that...
I don't think it's fair to say he's gone off the boil. I just think there's slight issues with the amount of games he's played, and the fact that I can't speak badly of Alexis. I just can't do it.
Is it bad to say that Is it bad to say that he's not playing at the sort of level that we've expected of him?
Well, because he started off like a steamrolling train, didn't he? He's just everything, and he still is. He still loses a ball and goes fighting for it, and that's where Özil gets the blame, where he doesn't go fighting for it or whatever. We'll discuss that later. But he does give the ball away a bit. Maybe he does need a break, and maybe he needs to be reined in slightly, but I absolutely adore him. He's just brilliant for us.
Andrew, what do you think?
I mean, you can't fault his first season in the Premier League. I don't think there's been many players in recent years that have come in and had such an impact, especially in the first few months. He adapted, so well to the Arsenal style, and you could see at the start of the season he didn't carry the team, but he was certainly by far our standout player. So I think obviously it's a minor concern that he's not scoring perhaps the same number of goals per game ratio as he was before. But as we mentioned, there's other players now in the team. Giroud's obviously hitting form with goals. Ozil's come back and he's he can pick up the assists as well. But I think what Sanchez also offers is as you say, he hurries players high up the field. So he's always electric. He's always got that kind of pressing in his game, which very few of our team have. I think Rosicky presses and Sanchez presses, and that's something that even when he's not scoring goals, he's adding kind of a defensive capability higher up the field. So I think when we play Man United away in the FA Cup, the Welbeck goal, part of that came down to because Sanchez was on the back of the defenders, when he was hurrying them, and so. I don't think it's necessarily a major concern that he's not scoring because he still adds a lot of value to that team.
What do you reckon, Pete? Do you agree with the general view?
I think the Sanchez issue highlights an Arsenal issue in general. One of the biggest issues that we've had for years is Arsene Wenger doesn't rotate his squad. The only time they get a rest is when they break down, and that massively impacts our form and ability to win. I don't think it's a surprise that when all of our injured players come back into the side, we start winning games. So I think Sanchez is absolutely electric. He's the sort of player that we should be signing, Premiership ready, powerful, energetic, presses like the best of them. But I think to your point, I don't think his fitness is managed particularly well.
No.
But I don't think he's managed particularly well. He's a bit like a
go out, do what you want.
Yeah, he's a bit like a child on the pitch. He just likes playing football and running around. Yeah. And a lot of people say, I can't believe Barcelona sold him. But when you see the way he plays and how he loses the ball, you can. He's not always great for a possession team. And his form has dipped, but I think he's one of those players that just having him there, even if he's not playing well, is reassuring for everybody else. So hats off to us and for pulling that off, because I think that's probably been the most exciting signing we've made in years.
And do you not think it's like a breath of fresh air for once now, even when our some of the criticism levied at Arsenal in recent years is that we've always been a one-man team. So it was Henry for a couple of years, and it was Fabregas for a couple of years, and it was Van Persie for a couple of years. It was now Sanchez might not necessarily be doing the business, but we're still, as we said, in our richest vein of form for some time. Other players are scoring goals, other getting assists, so it's kind of a credit to the kind of the depth we've got in those areas now.
It's like we can cover him for a little bit now, isn't it? While he's sort of a bit off form.
If our main striker or main scorer, imagine if Van Persie dried up.
He'd have been the scapegoat as well, wouldn't he?
What about Giroud? Because after the first leg of Monaco game, he was pilloried from, he was bashed from pillar to post. And I mean, how have you? I'll start with you, Peter. How do you assess how he's come back from there? And do you think he apparently scored the most minutes per goal, most goals per minute in the Premiership?
Yeah, and his statistics for conversion have massively improved this season. Yeah. It's a really difficult one with Giroud because he isn't. A lot of people say he's not an elite level striker, and he's not. But how long can we keep on saying that? He's got a beautiful touch. He brings players into the game. He started using his body weight to put himself about. He's a bit of a bully now, which you certainly couldn't have said of it at the start. And his finishing's improving. He did have an absolute horror show against Monaco, but the best strikers do. But I guess main concern is when you're in a Champions League final and he's through on goal, he's got one chance. Is he going to score that? He doesn't feel like that level yet. But if you were to say, who would you, if you had £40 million now, who would you go out and sign? Europe's not brimming with world-class strikers. The big clubs struggle to bring them in. I mean, Karim Benzema's one of the main men at Madrid. I don't know whether their fans really rate him. I don't think it's 10 years ago there were loads. I don't think you've got the Ruben Nistelrooys and Thierry's about.
It's a bit of a gamble when you look at Falcao and how he struggled at Manchester United. So it's not. I suppose, as you say, it's not, the cup doesn't run too full with world-class strikers. I want to ask you, Amanda, are you happy to see him continuing to spearhead our attack next season?
I said on our podcast quite a few weeks ago, I can't work out whether he's any good or not. I have this thing with Giroud. You can't knock him, of course, and recently he's been great. And I agree with the one goal on. We wouldn't have that confidence, would we? And I've always said this, I think if he starts and gets his first chance, he's phenomenal the whole game. He misses his first chance, I don't want to say useless because I'll get slaughtered for it, but it's a confidence thing for him. And if he stopped with the flappy hands and he stops banging the floor and he stops that, but that's part of his...
Stop being French.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Frenchness. No, it's... you can't knock him. And I so agree with what you said. How long can we start saying he's not a great striker, but he's putting them. He holds up play phenomenal. He gives us something different when he comes on, when maybe Welbeck goes off or whatever. I always supported Giroud at the very, very beginning. Then I changed my mind a bit, and I thought we're not going to win the Champions League with this boy. You know, he's okay, but now I'm starting to change again a little bit, and I'm thinking maybe we can. You know, maybe we can. But in my head, he's got to take the first chance. And then he's great, and he does score some great goals, doesn't he?
I think the thing about Giroud, first you touched on, he's definitely a confidence player.
Yeah.
So as we saw, his first season at Arsenal, he was quite shaky. Remember the first game against Sunderland, and he missed the absolute sitter, and everyone's thinking, "Oh God, wait, what have we got here?" But then second season, first half of the season, you know, he started bringing in that muscle to his game, like Pete alludes to. I think he had a few off the field problems halfway through the second season. There was the stories about, you know, sleeping with an old lady, really affected him. Wenger dropped him for the Bayern Munich game. He kind of dropped off, but he's come back again. Obviously he picked up the injury. He was out for the first, couple of months, and he's come back with an absolute bang.
Yeah,
I think he got accused of being arrogant, didn't he, by the French press the other day, and he said something like he doesn't fart higher than his backside. He's a level-headed guy, but you can tell he's very much a confidence player. And when he's in, and when he wants to play, he
so
can
you get
be
my
unplayable.
point, don't you? Get that first chance. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's great. He doesn't, and then he sort of shakes a little bit. But maybe next season will be his season.
That's been a big Arsenal discussion. Why don't you tell us what you think in the comment box below, and also make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Vamos chileno, que esta noche tenemos que ganar. ¡Atención chileno, Sanchez! ¡Sí!